A rosy cheek? Or a dose of poison for a jealous husband? Welcome to the Archive of Hidden Facts, segment Hidden Facts in History, 10 stand 19th century. Today, we're cracking open the dressing room of an era where being pale and interesting meant literally dying, slowly, beautifully, and very, very fashionably. Our intriguing topic, Victorian ladies. Not modest maidens, but secret poisoners with arsenic makeup. Let's go! If you think modern beauty standards are harsh, you simply aren't acquainted with Victorian England. There, the cult of consumptive glamour reigned supreme. Translucent skin with blue veins, scarlet lips, huge shining eyes, and chronic malaise. To be healthy, rosy-cheeked, and energetic was considered vulgar, the lot of farm girls. A true lady had to look as fragile as a porcelain doll on the verge of a swoon. And women approached this matter with deadly seriousness. In the literal sense, their secret weapon was arsenic. Yes, that classic poison slipped into wine by villains in novels. But in the 19th century, it wasn't just a tool of crime. It was a must-have ingredient on every lady's vanity table. In criminal circles, they called it inheritance powder. In high society, beauty powder. The irony? There was none. It was simply effective, multi-purpose chemistry. The season's hit, stretching for a century, was Scheele's Green, later Paris Green, an incredibly vivid, durable green paint based on copper acetoarsenite. It didn't fade, was cheap, and insanely popular. It colored everything: boudoir wallpapers, dresses, curtains, children's toys, upholstery, and, of course, cosmetics. Picture it. A fashionable lady applies green eyeshadow, blushes her cheeks with carmine, often mercury-based, but that's another story, while her dress, curtains, and room's wallpaper are all the same, lethally beautiful emerald hue. She wasn't just in an interior, she was sealed in a sarcophagus of pure arsenic. Dust from the wallpaper was inhaled, dye from the dress rubbed off onto her skin, eyeshadow absorbed through her eyelids. The symptoms of chronic arsenic poisoning? You'll laugh, or rather, they suffered, while we smirk sarcastically. Nausea, hair loss, headaches, skin ulcers, nervous system disorders. In other words, everything that Victorian medical manuals romantically labeled as nervous exhaustion, female hysteria, or consumption. A girl grew pale, lost weight, her eyelashes fell out, and she felt sick in the mornings? What a delicate, ethereal creature, admirers would sigh. Such tragic, poetic pallor. No one considered that the poetry here was chemical, and the ethereality was the result of the body slowly consuming itself from within, trying to cope with the poison. The most poignant evidence of this mass, decorative poisoning comes not from doctors' reports, but from personal diaries and letters. Women complained of constant fatigue, phantom pains, a strange metallic taste in their mouths. Children who played in green rooms fell ill and died more often. The height of absurdity was a story where in a house people couldn't live in due to constant illness. They replaced only the dogs. The old dogs that slept in rooms with green wallpaper died. The puppies brought in as replacements also quickly wasted away. Only when a curious doctor linked the illness to the interior and sent a piece of wallpaper for analysis did it become clear. The house was simply too beautiful. The pooches, alas, became victims of their owner's refined taste. A term even emerged, green room sickness. Doctors began to gradually suspect the truth, but the inertia of fashion and the interests of a giant industry were stronger. Paint and cosmetics manufacturers published scientific articles proving the harmlessness of their products. while advertising assured that our product is purified of dangerous impurities. This sounded about as convincing as our vodka is purified of dangerous ethanol. But arsenic in the life of a Victorian lady was not merely a passive threat. It was a tool of power. In a society where women had no legal rights and divorce was an unthinkable scandal, inheritance powder became a silent argument in marital disputes. Cases of poisoning tiresome, cruel, or simply wealthy husbands were not uncommon, proving it was extremely difficult. The symptoms of arsenic poisoning, vomiting, abdominal pain, masqueraded perfectly as the cholera or gastroenteritis ravaging cities at the time. Hence our sarcastic subheading, A Wedding Gift, I Love You to Death. The trousseau of a good wife could include not only housekeeping skills, but also a vial of rat poison for a rainy day. And the romantic blush on her cheeks after her husband finished his soup could pass for either maidenly fluster or the result of expertly applied makeup. Beauty, health, and crime were woven into a tight, poisonous knot. The era of arsenic glamour began to wane only towards the end of the 19th century, with the development of toxicology and high-profile court cases. Accessible tests for arsenic, like the Marsh test, appeared, making it riskier to send wealthy uncles to the great beyond. The fashion for a healthy, sporty lifestyle, which replaced the consumptive ideal, delivered the final blow to this trend. But its echoes are a beautiful and terrifying illustration of several eternal truths. Fashion is blind, deaf, and extremely toxic. People are willing to pay the highest price for an ideal of beauty, their own lives. Poison is a subtle matter. The difference between medicine and poison, it turned out, lies only in the dose and the place of application, inside or on the cheeks. History is written not only with a pen but also with a rouge brush, and sometimes that brush is dipped in something deadly. So next time you admire a portrait of a pale 19th century beauty with a mysterious blush, remember, her gaze, full of romantic melancholy, might simply be the look of a person who is literally being slowly poisoned for the sake of beauty. And in that lies both horror and monstrous, surreal irony. They were not villains by default. They were hostages of an era where being poisonously beautiful was not a metaphor but a daily practice. And that is perhaps the most bitter, the most arsenical fact hidden in the folds of their green dresses. And that's it. Beauty demanded sacrifices, and Victorian ladies paid in full, with their health. Chilling? Absolutely. But that was the price of admission to high society. Don't forget to hit that like button if you'll now look at old portraits with a healthy dose of skepticism. The Archive of Hidden Facts, segment Hidden Facts in History, 10 State 19th Century. Signing off. To make sure you don't miss us debunking the next myth of the past, click subscribe and check out our previous episodes.